Welcome to Stone Cottage Adventures. It's early November in the garden, and the leaves are beginning to turn, and the understory trees like the dogwood, redbud, and horse chestnut have already lost their leaves. But this is just beginning. Probably the next 6 or 7 weeks we'll be doing a lot of raking. Another thing that always happens in the fall for everybody is time to plant bulbs. As soon as you get that first freeze, that light freeze, but the ground is still warm, that's a great time to plant bulbs. So we're doing that in the garden. And some other things that are great to do in the fall are to cut back the perennials. And something that we do every fall is we compost. Now, I've been removing the ivy, and I've had to do something a little painful with that, and that is I've had to remove the leaf litter, which is next year's nutrients, and that's really painful to do, but I have to do it to get all the ivy out. But I felt a little bit better about it because every year in the fall, my husband heavily composts. And if you don't believe that, I'll show you what he does. Gets pretty deep around here. But the leaves are beautiful, and the temperature's great, and it's a perfect time to be out in the garden, and I'll share with you what I'm doing besides planting bulbs. It's a great time to buy perennials because the garden centers are always getting rid of everything. And I have some foxglove seedlings to plant out, and a number of other different things that I can do to get the garden all ready for its winter nap. So come on along and see what we're doing. Okay, here's the bed all dug out. I've put bricks create a little border so I'll know when plants are unruly. And I have dug out everything, including some things that some people would have kept, but I didn't. The only thing I did keep is that thing leaning over right there. That's the phlox, the garden phlox, and I do love the garden phlox, and that is staying. The base here, we have a yew that will keep its leaves, a larger azalea, which will bloom in the spring, nice deep pink color, and he will keep his leaves all winter. And back behind that is my mountain laurel, which again will keep its leaves all winter, and it will bloom later in this, early summer, late spring. And this is where the climbing rose used to be, and what's going in here is a lonicera, and the variety is mandarin, so that's a honeysuckle, a climbing honeysuckle that will grow to be about 20 feet. We'll have an orange flower with a yellow throat, is the way it's described. This is a hydrangea that will bloom on new growth and old growth, so it should give me a much longer blooming period. I'll put the variety on the screen. Now, this is a great time of year to plant. We have just this week had our first very early frost, but it's going to be in the mid-60s today, so it's not winter yet by any stretch of imagination, or even a hard fall. So it's a really good time to plant. And more importantly, it's a really good time to buy because all the nurseries are getting rid of their stock that didn't sell. So these particular plants, the honeysuckle and the hydrangea, I ordered half price with another 15% off online from Jackson & Perkins. And I've had good luck with Jackson & Perkins in the past. This is not sponsored in any way, but they had good roots, and one of my favorite plants in Colorado came from Jackson & Perkins. And then I have a second honeysuckle to go on this side, replacing the other climbing rose. And the climbing roses came out because they got rose rosette, and I do not want to replant roses. I've read all kinds of things, but it sounds like if you're smart, you'll wait 5 to 7 years. That may be because you want the rose rosette to get out of the neighborhood, kill all the roses, and go away and have a fresh start. Now, the other thing that I am planting is my bulbs. perfect time of year to plant bulbs. These came from Color Blends, and they mail them when it's the perfect time to plant for you. Mine came Sunday, and we had our first very light freeze the night before last, so it's the perfect time. Our soil is still between 55 and 60 degrees. I got 3 different things. This one is a daffodil blend, and the reason I got the blend is I want the daffodils to bloom in succession. So with a blend, you'll get some early bloomers, some mid bloomers, and then you'll have a much longer period with blooms. Now, these are the ones that came, and you can see that's a nice big one. I did have some daffodils in here. Say, why am I planting? Well, I'm replanting. Here's the difference in the daffodils. Okay, here's one of the really big ones. That's about as big as it gets. That's what was in my bed, and that's what's going to replace it. Does that give you any idea of why these guys were not blooming very well? And you can see that cluster right there. They had these incredible clumps of bulbs. They were just too tight, and it's time to move on. So that's a blend of daffodils. That's my recommendation. So I'll have a succession of blooms. And then the next thing I'm planting is the Gentle Giants tulips, which is another blend. They are really good at the blends. I guess that's where their Color Blends names come from. These are the tulips that I like, and the reason I want the Gentle Giants, the reason I order the Gentle Giants is often tulips have to be replanted every year. I like these because they are much better at coming back year after year. Now, that doesn't mean they'll last indefinitely, but they will last much longer. And there's some wild tulips that come back year after year, and the Gentle Giants do also. And then the last thing I got was some Purple Sensation allium. And I got these, and if you look at the times for the blooms, my daffodils are going to be early to mid. My tulips are mid, and my allium are very late. So they will all bloom in succession, not all at once, which I really like that, so I can get blooming done all the time. This hydrangea will also, and in the height of summer we will have the garden phlox, and in the spring I will also have the azalea. So this is going to give me some good blooming. Now, what had been in here is I had some blue mist and some asters. That has come out, and I suspect the blue mist will come back. It does reseed, it does by runners, so there very well may be enough roots and things back that it will come back, but I can easily bring it from other places in the garden to fill in here if I need to. But I pulled out the asters for one very specific reason, and that is because the asters were too tall. I'm going to go with a different variety of asters that's compact, that will not be flopping all the time. So that'll give me color from early spring up through the freeze. Okay, now something else that's going to go in this bed are the irises. And these came from there. They were in these huge clumps, so I have divided them, and I'll be moving them around. Now, I'm breaking a rule, and the rule is you divide and transplant before Labor Day. And it's early November now, and my chances of success are low. So if I have irises next year, it will be a little gardening miracle. But you know, they were not blooming too well because they needed to be divided, and I didn't do it in time, so now's the time to do it. Hopefully I'll have irises. If not, that's life. Okay, the way I lay this out is if it's in a container, I just set it where I want to have it, and the irises, I just kind of toss them. And what I really toss is the bulbs. I take handfuls of them and I just throw them. and wherever they land. I'd like to have some nice dense clumps and a little bit thinner clumps so it looks natural. Now you can see right here, this is where I've already planted. And I'll show you when I get finished. This clump will look the same way. Now this looks pretty thick right now, but this is the skins off of the tulip bulbs, kind of like onion skins. So some of that's just messy onion skins on the ground. But anyway, I'll dig a hole and put them down 5 to 6 inches, whatever the recommendation is, and go from there. And I've been joined by a little friend. I don't know if he'll be friendly or not, but a little cowbird. They're very friendly, very social birds, and they come and watch to see what you're doing. Very curious birds. So anyway, my little friend. There you are. Good birdie. Yeah, good birdie. Okay. Here's my bed. All planted. You can see we've got our 3 bushes that were already there. And we've got the phlox, which was already there. And what's sticking up is the irises, and you can see quite a few of them. So they're kind of all over, and we'll just see what happens. And there's the mandarin honeysuckle. It's supposed to be fast growing, and you can see the 4 foxglove there. And in the center of the screen there is the Bobo hydrangea. It's a panicle hydrangea. And then over there, I planted 3 clumps of foxglove. These are just clumps of foxglove that have multiple plants in them. And again, more irises. And distributed through the whole thing are lots of tulips and daffodils. Okay, and distributed throughout here, there should be about 50 daffodils and about 100 tulips. So we'll see what comes up here. So I'm looking forward to that. And over here, you can kind of see it's a bit of a mess. This is I've got all kinds of tools I'm tripping over here. So the other bed here, this is where the bulk of my other bulbs are going to go. And it's a mess. When my husband puts on compost, he really puts on compost. But you know, as stinky as it is right now, which it is stinky, and as difficult and messy as it is right now, it's worth the suffering, because in the spring we'll have incredible growth, and we have just had magnificent growth, and I'm convinced it's because of all of the compost that he puts on. So I still have that to do, and I'll need to plant, this won't take very long, but plant the other honeysuckle there. And a few other things that I'll be planting, probably some foxglove in over here. But that's how we get ready for fall, is by putting everything with a nice blanket of compost and putting down our bulbs and planting our perennials, so that we have wonderful growth in the springtime. So it's a bit of a mess. You still see I've still got tools out. I've still got some daffodils to go in. But this is definitely a work zone. What I've learned gardening is when I put the work in up front in the fall, I am so much happier next spring. And it's such a delightful time of year to be outside. The weather's nice, and the trees are beautiful, and the birds are all happy, and They run around looking for worms since I'm digging up the dirt here. But thanks so much for joining us, and we hope to see you next time. Bye.